Hi guys, welcome back. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Shaylor. So I am actually on my way to the surgery center to get my ACL surgery, and I actually got called in early to go in, so that's why I look like a hot mess. I will see you after the surgery. Here I am in the waiting room. I was required to wear a mask. Hey guys, I just wanted to pop in and check in with you. It is currently 9 o'clock p.m. on Friday, May 22nd, and I am 9 hours post-op. So I just got my ACL reconstruction. There it is, guys, my knee. And I just wanted to let you know about my experience. We got there and we checked in. So first off, I had to wait by this table by the door because they had to check my temperature and make sure I wasn't sick or anything with everything that's going on right now. They require you to wear a mask, and only the patient can go into the office. So I was by myself and I brought my knee brace. My surgery center called me the day before my surgery, and they, let me know the procedures and everything. They said no eating after midnight and no drinking as well. And then they also informed me I needed to bring my brace with me, which was nice, and my crutches. The crutches didn't have to go with me to the office, but I would need them when I was going home if I needed help getting in the car, which I didn't. But that was nice to know. I did bring my brace with me along with my sleeve just in case, but they only needed my brace. So I got checked in and I signed all the paperwork and I was waiting in the waiting room, and then my nurse calls me over. She was such a nice nurse, by the way, you guys. Her name was Roxanne. And she was the sweetest little lady nurse, okay, you guys? She's so sweet. Because she was the one that called me in the morning to go in early, and she was kind of short on the phone, but I had talked to her the day before and I knew that she was really nice. And so when I got in, she was so excited to see me, and she apologized for being short on the phone. She wanted to give me a hug, but she's like, I know we can't hug because, with everything that's going on. She's so funny. And so we went to the back, and that was where my orthopedist, the surgeon, was waiting. And he just talked to me briefly because we had already gone over everything for during the pre-op appointment, which was like a week and a half prior. And he marked my knee with his initials, I believe, yeah. And so that we would know which knee we're operating on. And then my nurse took me to go weigh myself, and then I had to take a urine sample as well. And guys, TMI, okay, go ahead and fast forward if you don't want to hear about this, but I was on my period, okay? I was at the end of my period when I went in for surgery. So today was my last day of being on my period because it started on Tuesday. So I was really concerned about that. And this is actually really informative. I had told my primary physician, because I track my menstrual cycle, and I had told her my PCP. I said, hey, is that going to be a problem? I'm going to be on my period. And she told me to wear a tampon. Okay? I don't wear tampons when I'm on my period, okay? I wear pads because my flow is just like really heavy the first 2 days, and then the last 2 days it's like barely there. So luckily I had started on Tuesday because my projection date for my calendar said that my period was going to start on Thursday, yesterday, but luckily it started on Tuesday, a few days early, which was very surprising to me. When my nurse Roxanne called me yesterday, I also informed her that I was going to be on my period, and by then I had already started, so I already knew that I was going to be at the end of my period. And she informed me, do not wear a tampon. Okay guys, do not wear a tampon. and they will give you mesh panties and a pad, which I am familiar with because I have 2 kids, and that's what they give you when you go in to deliver. They give you mesh panties. They're like boy short panties. And so I was already familiar with that. So I was like, cool, I'm glad I told her, because I would have probably put on a tampon, even though I don't wear tampons. And so I changed into the mesh panties and the pad, and then I went back to the little room that they had for me, and I changed my clothes. I put everything in my bag for my belongings, and I got on the bed, and then Roxanne came back, went over more paperwork with me, allergies, anything like that. And she actually was the one that issued my IV port. After she did that, she gave me a blanket, and then that was when the anesthesiologist came in to talk to me. They were asking me about, any prior medical history or anything like that, just to be safe. It's all really repetitive. And he asked me if I had heart problems, which, by the way, Roxanne asked me too, and I said no, because I don't have heart problems. But he asked specifically if I had palpitations or irregular heartbeats. And so I told him that I do have palpitations, but they were probably a result of lack of activity from my knee injury, because shortly after I got injured, like a month after I got injured, I started having heart palpitations. I also believe it's from my caffeine intake, and then also lack of activity, physical activity, you guys, okay? Because I was drinking coffee and I was eating chocolate. This was before I became a vegan, and I believe that's when the heart palpitations began. And my PCP ran all the tests, and the results came back with no underlying problems or anything. It was just probably because I had too much caffeine. He wasn't worried because they also do an EKG before you go into your surgery, which is a reading of your heart. And so he was just going over all that with me. They also, guys, very important, they also go over if you have loose teeth or thyroid problems, or if you have a weak acid reflux or anything like that, because they will be sticking a tube down your throat to help you breathe. That's why I sound like this. And I did tell them, because I've had braces before. I have bone loss in my teeth, so that they're aware, that to be maybe more careful. I did point out my teeth, which one was looser than the others, and I don't have thyroid problems, and my acid reflux is I think it's pretty normal. And so that was nice of them to actually go over, because I did read an article one time when I was researching about ACL reconstruction from this one lady who is from Australia, and she was telling her story on her blog. She typed it up, and it was it wasn't an article, it was a blog. And she said that they didn't even notify her that they were going to be sticking a tube down her throat, because she woke up and her throat was sore, and she can figure out why. And so that was when she found out that they stuck a tube down her throat, because what they do is they put you to sleep and then they do it, which makes sense, because why would you be awake for that? And so after that, a nurse came in, another nurse. I think she was like the one that helps in the surgery room, because it wasn't Roxanne. I think Roxanne just does like the paperwork and like the pre-op before you actually go do your surgery that same day. She was just going over, same things, repetitive stuff. And she was trying to finalize all the paperwork that I guess my doctor missed one of the papers to sign. So she had to go track him down. I think I was waiting for maybe like 10 minutes, because I was starting to get tired. I didn't get a lot of sleep the night before, just because I was so nervous about everything. But I had my family pray for me, and all my friends have been really supportive, and that really made me feel like I didn't need to be afraid, which was nice. I really am grateful and thankful. So after that, she started to wheel me to the operating room, which is exactly like the movies, you guys. Like, you're just laying there and you see the hospital lights just passing by. It's exactly like they show in the movies. That's how you feel when they're wheeling you to the surgery room. The surgery room wasn't that far, so, and that poor little lady nurse, okay, this wasn't Roxanne, it was a different nurse. She was so little and she had to push me all by herself. I felt so bad. So she wheeled me into the surgery room and they had these big lights and they had music playing really, really lightly, but it was like, what was the song? But I don't remember how it goes. It's like a song I grew up listening to, which was nice. It gave me comfort. You know, I love music, and I feel like music has a lot of healing in them. Just like when you're feeling unsure, uncertain, or if you need some comfort or motivation, reassurance, or anything, I feel like music is very comforting and healing. They had to move me from the bed I was in to the operating bed. The nurse leveled me out with a table and I scooched over. And let me tell you guys, that table is really tiny. I felt like it literally fit my body and nothing else. Like, my arms were dangling, but you know, they have those arm attachments that you can put your arm out. So I looked like I was just laying down. What do you call that pose in Shavasana for yoga? They started hooking me up to everything. So the anesthesiologist put a armband to monitor my heart or my blood pressure, maybe. I don't remember. And then the other nurse, the one that wheeled me in, she was strapping me down to the table with these black straps. I think they also had straps for my head, but they didn't put it on me when I was awake, just to secure yourself so you don't move, I believe, which I didn't mind. I understand. The anesthesiologist, he then, I think that's when he hooked me up to the anesthesia, because he told me there would be a burning feeling, which this is a funny way to tell somebody you're putting them to sleep. Okay, he didn't even tell me. He said there will be a burning feeling, but it'll go away shortly. So they put the anesthesia needle in my the port in my hand, my left hand, and so I felt this burning feeling, and then it was burning a lot at first, and then it was less, but then it didn't go away. So in my head I was thinking, I was like, oh, you know, just hold off, like hold out on it, hold out on the pain. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, this isn't going away. And that's when I knocked out. Yeah. And so I woke up to another nurse. She was calling my name to wake me up. But I think this is around 1 o'clock, because she told my husband that she had given me the Narcos at 1:16, because I remember before I ate the medicine, she was giving me like crackers to eat, and I felt like she was shoving them down my throat, or maybe she was just pressuring me to eat them, because I felt like I was shoving them down my throat. And you know, I woke up and my throat was very tender, and so I was eating these crackers, but I felt like they were just like melting in my mouth and not actually going down my throat. And so I was very, very, very groggy, you guys, very groggy. And so I was eating these crackers, and I didn't even realize she had given me 2 more crackers. So she gave me 4 crackers, you guys. I was eating these crackers and she had given me 2 more crackers. And then I remember hearing her call my husband to pick me up. And then I felt like literally 2 seconds later, them telling my nurse that my ride was here. And I'm like, what? We don't live that close. I think we live like 15 minutes away from the surgery center. But it felt like to me like 2 seconds, like they called and like I felt like she called my husband, and then literally the nurses told my nurse that my husband was here. And I'm like, what the heck? So it was just funny. She grabbed a wheelchair and another nurse, and they both helped me up. And she was instructing me to stand on my good leg, which was my left leg, to get into the wheelchair. And you guys, mind you, I'm still very groggy, but I was able to do it somehow. And I think I was actually also trying to do it before she actually set up the wheelchair. So she kept trying me to wait and to sit down and not do anything, which was funny. And so she wheeled me out to outside, and I don't even remember. We did get in the elevator. Okay, I'm like, I don't remember getting in the elevator because they were on the second floor. We did get in the elevator, and she took me downstairs, and that's where my husband was waiting outside. I think he was waiting by the door, and she wheeled me to the door to my passenger side. My husband was there, and my daughter was also there, which was so sweet. My 4-year-old, she's so sweet. She's very clingy to me, and so she was there. She was excited to see me, but I was way too groggy to respond or anything. So I was instructed to get in the car, good leg first, of course, and I was able to get in the car. And I work in transportation, so we deal with a lot of people who are disabled. So I know how to maneuver myself or how to work around like an injury or a disability to where I could get in the car okay. So first I turned around and I sat in the passenger seat first, because you always want to sit first if you are having a hard time getting up a step or something or into a seat that's higher than ground level. So I turned around and I sat first, and then I braced myself with my arms and I put in my good leg. And normally, so my husband has scooted the seat back already, so normally from there you just sit down, put your other leg in. But because I couldn't bend my leg, and also I was very groggy, my husband had to lift my leg into the car, which is something that, you know, I'm familiar with. I do that at work, and I don't mind doing that. And so that's how I got in the car. And then we drove home, and my daughter was talking to me the whole time, but because I was so groggy, I wasn't even responding. We got home, and I was still very groggy, and my husband parked in the driveway instead of the garage because he had stuff to get out, and I think he also wanted to make sure that I had enough room to walk into the house, which was a really bad idea, you guys. If you have a wheelchair, please use a wheelchair. We have a wheelchair, but I didn't even bother suggesting it to my husband. And he gave me my crutches because you're so groggy, like you have no balance. I think I almost fell like 2 times when I was walking to my room into the house. And luckily I was able to brace myself with my crutches. I also forgot to mention, when I woke up from surgery, I told the nurse that I wasn't feeling pain in my knee, but I was feeling pain above my knee, like towards my quad area. And she was telling me it's probably because of the tourniquet. So if you are getting this surgery, just expect that your leg might be hurting because of the tourniquet and not your actual knee if you're getting this surgery done, because it really, really hurts. It feels like somebody is cutting into my leg, and she said it's probably the tourniquet. I haven't opened my bandages or anything to look at it, and so I got in bed, and I think I just was resting the whole time. I was so tired, and everyone was texting me and calling me, and I just did not hear any of it. I think I put my phone on vibrate, and I responded to everybody, and then I took a nap, and then I woke up a few hours later and responded to everybody again. But they tell you should elevate your knee above your heart level 20 minutes an hour, like almost every hour for the first 3 days, just to help with the swelling, and then also to ice every other hour. So far right now, if you're hearing a noise, those are my blood clot sleeves for my legs so that I don't clot. I'm still a little bit groggy and nauseous, not very nauseous. I did throw up like water, and it was very little, and it was only because I was drinking water. I did have a little bit of food to eat. They do put you on a soup and cracker diet for 12 hours just until the anesthesia goes away. So that's my update. I hope this helps you with understanding the ACL procedure. Also, guys, I forgot to mention, I thought on the ride home, I thought I had boogers in my nose, but I think it was flakes of like blood and mucus, just from, I think, the room being so cold, and also when they stuck the tube down my throat, because I have been spitting out blood mucus, and I think it's just from the tube and my throat. So yeah, that's my experience so far. If I can think of anything else, I'll add it to this video, and I will update you guys in the next clip. Let me think about it. Na 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 na, and fade